If you feel like you're always about to start your dream life yet never make progress, it's probably not because you're lazy or broken. In our modern world, this is quite common. It's a physiological response to ultra-processed food, addictive technology, and endless escape routes that are only one tap away. Now here's the problem. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter of pursuit. And when you bathe your brain in constant high-stimulating dopamine spikes, it adapts, becoming less responsive to the quieter signals such as going for a walk, reading, or enacting deep work. Those things become too quiet compared to the fireworks of endless scrolling, porn, binge eating, or gambling. Over time, this makes ordinary life feel like it's not worth leaning into. It just feels flat. So how do you fix this? You deliberately change the inputs that your brain is exposed to and teach it to care about real life again. Step 1, get brutally honest about your current reality. Before you delete anything or set any rules, you need to get brutally honest about your current lived experience and where you don't want to end up. By doing this, you are effectively setting a clear intention and trajectory for this protocol. This provides you purpose, which can be used as a sort of guiding light when the going gets tough. What does a normal day actually look like, hour by hour? How many times do I reach for my phone without thinking? And when do I escape into screens, food, or other vices instead of doing what I know I should? In my life, I used to scroll on my phone for hours before bed, using my phone as a pacifier. I was so disconnected from homeostasis that I could not fall asleep in silence. I needed a podcast. I needed constant stimulation. So once you have revealed the truth regarding your daily habits, zoom out and ask an even more important question. If I keep living exactly like this for the next 5 years, where does that version of me end up? And really picture this, providing as much detail as possible. The projects never started. The body never built. The relationships that feel shallow because you're never fully present. And the quiet resentment toward yourself that grows a little louder every year. Now, this process isn't meant to depress you. It's actually meant to motivate you. Many of us become blindsided by our habits and addictions, never realizing that life could taste so much sweeter if we just gain some clarity around our current reality in relation to our ambitions. Step 2, building your dopamine diet. A detox is just a strategic and structured way of filtering your inputs, of which there are 4 major categories. The first is digital overload, which includes short-form video content, such as Reels, TikToks, and YouTube Shorts. Infinite scroll feeds, such as Threads, X, and Reddit. And binge-watching shows, streams, or YouTube rabbit holes. These platforms are designed to be endless slot machines of novelty. While it feels good in the moment, it actually leaves you feeling empty and even more dangerously steals your time away from you. And your brain is not designed to handle technology like this. In fact, this is a new problem that evolution is facing. So for the detox period, it is mandatory that you delete these inputs to the best of your ability. Try deleting the worst offenders off of your phone and adding website blockers to your computer. For example, I deleted Snapchat off of my phone about 3 years ago, and I've never looked back. Adding this extra layer of friction between you and accessing these platforms in most cases is all you need for absolute abstinence. You'd be amazed about the assistance that friction can have in combination with your willpower. And why would you rely solely on willpower in the first place when you have these strategies to help you? Now is not the time for I'll just be disciplined, because if willpower was enough, then you wouldn't be watching this in the first place. In essence, ideally, you would narrow down your technology consumption just to the bare necessities, such as work emails, messaging, phone calls, navigation, and nothing more. Just do your best and realize that failure is not absolute. It's just data for next time. Number 2, synthetic pleasures. Next, we have substances like alcohol, recreational drugs, including weed, nicotine, other substances you use to take the edge off, and pornography. These are kind of a no-brainer. Like, of course, substances interfere with how your reward circuitry works. That's kind of the whole point to them. Nevertheless, I thought that I would add them in here just as a gentle reminder that a dopamine detox requires absolute sobriety. For some, this may be quite easy. For others, it may be quite foreign. In fact, I tend to indulge in weed before bed sometimes to help me wind down, so I can completely emphasize if this is a challenge. However, it is worth it to give your brain this clean slate. So for at least the duration of this detox, ensure that you are chemically sober. And this doesn't have to be absolute. It doesn't have to be forever. Just long enough for your nervous system to return to homeostasis. Number 3, hyper-palatable food. Next is ultra-processed foods, and these are literally engineered to overstimulate your taste buds and hijack your reward system. Examples include chips, candy, pastries, fast food, and foods that never go stale. Does that mean that you have to eat like a monk? Not at all. But during the detox, make sure that you tighten it up. Eat protein-rich meals to increase satiety. Base these meals around whole or minimally processed foods. And make comfort eating while scrolling off limits. If you're eating, you're just eating. By enacting these, you are teaching your brain that food is nourishment rather than just a dopamine drip. Additionally, you're going to feel amazing. I find that when I'm super diligent with my eating habits, my energy levels and feelings of overall well-being are through the roof. Number 4, jackpot loops. These are the sneaky ones, the ones that aren't so obvious, the ones that are driven by uncertain reward. Examples include gambling online or in person, compulsive shopping and deal hunting, and constantly checking likes, messages, or dating apps to see what's new. The reason why these are so sticky is because sometimes you get a hit and sometimes you don't. That unpredictability is extremely addictive to your dopamine system. Step 3, set your timeline and remove wiggle room. Now that you know what's out, give yourself a time frame such as 7 days. Think of 7 days without these indulgences as a sort of minimum effective dose. Your brain needs time to resensitize. If you continuously start and then stop, then you will never get anywhere. Here's what happens with chronic overstimulation. When you frequently drink, binge watch, scroll, or compulsively shop, your brain gets hit with big dopamine spikes. Over time, it adapts by reducing its response, like your ears adjusting to loud music. Ordinary life then feels quiet, dull, and stripped of meaning by comparison. It's all about staying completely clear of all of these vices so that you're giving your dopamine system a fighting chance to return back to baseline. So how do we go about doing that? Well, for starters, we make it non-negotiable. In other words, we eliminate any wiggle room. If you write or even entertain the thought of, I won't scroll unless I'm stressed, or no junk food except on days I'm underslept, then you're training your brain that your word does not matter. Therefore, rigidity is absolutely crucial for these 7 days. So make your rules binary. Either it's allowed with very clear rules and limits, or it's not allowed at all. And if at the end of these 7 days, you feel great about your progress and want to continue, then by all means, push it back to 2 weeks or even a month. However, if you get to like day 3.5 and you feel like you're drowning, then don't blow everything up. Just try modifying the rules of one thing to keep your sanity. But make sure, however, that it's set with clear boundaries, such as allowing yourself one episode of your favorite TV show after dinner every other night. There's a difference between allowing wiggle room into your process and setting clear rules and honoring them. This teaches your brain that pleasure is something that you consciously choose rather than something that constantly chooses you. Step 4, learn to survive the middle. Most people don't crack in the end, and certainly not in the beginning, but in the middle, when there's no end in sight and your willpower is dwindling. More than likely, you'll feel a combination of restlessness, boredom, an urge to check just once, FOMO, or a weird fog where nothing feels satisfying yet. You see, your brain has been conditioned to expect a fireworks show on demand. So when you take that away, there's a gap before your internal sensitivity catches up. Remember this, those moments of intense boredom or any combination of those symptoms, when it feels like your entire being is screaming for stimulation, aren't proof that you're empty. They're just a withdrawal of expectation, and it is crucial that you get through them without succumbing. During periods like these, most people resort to toughing it out using a combination of willpower and discipline. The problem with this line of thinking is that willpower is a finite resource, and this practice is way too new for you to have built discipline around. Sure, these modalities are helpful, but rarely will they be enough to maintain abstinence throughout the worst of it. Therefore, I recommend that you turn those moments of overwhelm into cues rather than traps. Whenever your symptoms feel so insurmountable that you feel powerless, whether it's to reach for your phone, digest a substance, or binge eat fast food, I want you to replace it with one of these habits. Number 1, stillness practice. At least 10 minutes. Meditate, journal, or simply sit with your thoughts. The goal isn't to become a monk. It's to prove to your nervous system that being alone with yourself is survivable. Number 2, movement practice. At least 20 to 30 minutes. Walk outside, lift weights, stretch, do yoga, whatever fits your current ability. Movement gives you a slow burn of dopamine and other feel-good neurochemicals without frying your circuitry. Number 3, meaningful engagement. Have an actual conversation with a real human. Call a friend, talk to family, or be fully present with someone in your life. Or, if you're alone, engage with a real task. Read an actual book, write, practice an instrument, or work on a project. By replacing highly dopaminergic activities with these new ones, you're basically telling your brain that when you scream for cheap stimulation, I'm going to respond with something that actually improves my life. And repeating this over and over is what literally rewires your default. And what's amazing is that not only are you removing those unhealthy habits, but these new ones actually come with a host of benefits. For example, exercise alone is the single most accurate predictor of not only health span, but also lifespan. Step 5, rebuild your normal without resetting to 0. Let's fast forward. You've done your 7 days, maybe 14, maybe even a full month. At this point, your brain has had its time to recalibrate. The silence doesn't feel quite as loud. Reading a book or going on a long walk doesn't feel so daunting. You've effectively made a meaningful difference in how you show up for yourself. Most people skip this step, which is such a shame because it is absolutely crucial. It's the part where you transform this protocol from temporary relief to a way of life. You see, the whole point of this was to return back to homeostasis so that regular life feels meaningful again. If you subsequently return to your old patterns, same apps, same mindless scrolling, same habits, then you have effectively done nothing. You didn't really change anything, you just took a break. So before you go back, before you reintroduce anything, I want you to go back to those questions in step 1 and answer them again. After the detox, what does a normal day actually look like, hour by hour? How many times do I reach for my phone without thinking? And when do I escape into screens, food, or other vices instead of doing what I know I should? Compare your answers from before to after the protocol. How has your life changed? I bet it has done a complete 180. Next, follow this trajectory into the future. If I keep living exactly like this for the next 5 years, where does that version of me end up? Then, once again, zoom out and illustrate the details. I grew my business. I built my body. I nurtured my relationships. I love who I've become. Suddenly, the gravity of the situation feels much more apparent. A dopamine detox isn't just some game that you play every once in a while in order to experience some temporary relief. It's a way to permanently improve your life. Therefore, when considering which activities to reintroduce, I recommend using the lens of these questions as your filter. For example, maybe you reintroduce social media, but with a strict 20-minute cap and only for specific purposes that actually assist in the life you're building. Maybe you allow 1 night a week for drinks with friends with a 2-drink limit so that substances stay at arm's length. And maybe you keep junk food out of the house entirely, but enjoy it occasionally and intentionally when you're out with people you love. Something to keep in mind is that the goal here is not perfection. If you are striving for such things, then you will surely burn out because perfection lies in the eye of the beholder. In other words, perfection is a subjective term, not an objective one. And here's the underrated piece. If you feel yourself sliding back, more fragmentation, more numbing, more compulsivity, You don't need to spiral back into shame. Rather, treat it like data for next time, because nothing in life follows a linear curve. Every journey worth embarking on contains peaks and valleys. So if you fail, just run the protocol again and realize that each time you'll understand yourself a little better. Each time you'll refine your rules. Each time you're reinforcing the identity of somebody who takes responsibility for their inputs. I wish you guys luck. If you enjoy this one, then please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and ringing the bell. It really helps. Thank you.